Listen closely, because this is not just another speech you hear and forget by tomorrow. This is for the woman who smiled while her heart was falling apart, who kept moving while nobody saw the weight she carried, who lost pieces of herself and still found a way to wake up and try again. If that is you, stay with me, because what comes next matters. There is a kind of strength that does not come from praise, from love, from luck, or from somebody arriving at the perfect time to save you. It comes from the quiet decision to not give up on yourself. It comes from the nights when the room is silent, the tears are real, and the only voice left to believe is your own. Some people will never understand that kind of power because they only recognize loud success. But real strength is often quiet. Real strength is built when no one claps. Real strength is born in the moment a woman says, "I may be broken, but I am not finished." And that is where everything begins. Not when life becomes easy, not when help arrives, not when the world suddenly becomes fair. It begins the second she chooses to rise with shaking hands, tired eyes, and a heart that still aches yet refuses to stay on the ground. So take a breath and keep listening, because this is about rebuilding, reclaiming, and remembering who you were before pain tried to rename you. There is a woman who rebuilds herself alone, and the world often misses the depth of what that truly means. It means she did not wait for perfect conditions. She did not wait for permission. She did not wait for someone to carry her through the storm. She learned that when life pulls everything apart, no one else can step inside her soul and do that inner work for her. People may offer advice. They may offer comfort. They may even promise to stay. But at the end of the day, healing is personal. Growth is personal. Rising is personal. And so she begins not with certainty, but with courage. She starts by choosing one small step when her whole body wants to stay still. She gets up when her heart feels heavy. She keeps going when progress feels invisible. That is how true strength is formed. Not in one dramatic moment, but in many quiet moments, repeated again and again, until a new version of her begins to stand where pain once lived. Remember this part. The strongest woman is not the one who never cried, never doubted, never fell apart. The strongest woman is the one who allowed herself to feel everything, but refused to let those feelings become her final home. She understood that pain can visit, but it does not get to rule. Fear can speak, but it does not get to decide. And slowly, with each private battle, she becomes steadier, wiser, and harder to shake. That kind of power cannot be borrowed. It must be built from within. Life does not always warn a woman before it tests her. Sometimes the loss is sudden. Sometimes the betrayal is deep. Sometimes the dream she worked so hard for slips through her hands and leaves her standing in the ruins of what used to feel safe. In those moments, it can seem as if everything familiar has disappeared. It can seem like the ground beneath her is gone. But even there, especially there, something important begins to happen. She discovers what remains when everything else falls away. She finds the part of herself that pain could not destroy. She finds the fire that hardship could not put out. And even if she does not feel powerful right away, even if she feels weak, confused, and exhausted, the rebuilding has already started. Watch this closely, because this part changes everything. She stops asking why this happened to her and begins asking what this moment is trying to teach her. She stops seeing herself only as someone who suffered and begins seeing herself as someone who survived. That shift is powerful. That shift is the doorway. Because once she understands that her story is not over, she starts writing a different ending. She learns that adversity is not proof that she is cursed. It is proof that she has been called to grow in ways comfort never could have taught her. And know that growth is not easy. It costs tears. It costs silence. It costs long nights of doubt. But it also gives her something priceless, a deeper knowing of who she is when everything fake has fallen away. When a woman learns to rely on herself, it does not mean she hates love, rejects support, or tries to carry the whole world alone. It means she finally understands that her foundation cannot be built on changing people, fragile promises, or outside approval. She becomes her own safe place. She becomes the hand she once wished would reach for her. She becomes the voice that says, "Keep going," when no one else knows how much she needs to hear it. There is freedom in that. Real freedom, Because the moment she stops waiting for rescue, she starts using her own strength in a new way. She trusts her judgment more. She listens to her inner voice more. She no longer keeps shrinking to make others comfortable or delaying her life until someone else agrees that she is ready. She moves. She chooses. She builds. She understands that being independent does not mean she never feels lonely. It means loneliness no longer controls her. It means silence no longer scares her. It means she can sit with herself, learn herself, and still know that she is enough. That is a beautiful kind of power. And let this sink in. A woman who knows she can stand alone walks differently through this world. She loves without begging. She gives without losing herself. She leaves what disrespects her. She refuses what drains her. She stops chasing what was never meant to hold her peace. And from that place, her life begins to change. Not because the world changed first, but because she did. One of the deepest shifts happens when she chooses wisdom over bitterness. She has every reason to be angry. She has every reason to close her heart, harden her spirit, and let resentment speak for her pain. But she realizes that bitterness is a prison dressed like protection. It feels powerful for a moment, but in time it becomes another burden to carry. And she is already tired of carrying what was never hers to keep. So she makes a brave choice. She lets the lesson stay, but she lets the poison go. She does not pretend nothing happened. She does not erase the hurt. She does not excuse what broke her trust. She simply decides that pain will not get the final word over her life. That is not weakness. That is mastery. That is emotional strength in its purest form. Stay here with me because many people miss this truth. Forgiveness is not always about the other person. Sometimes it is the moment a woman releases herself from dragging old chains into a new future. Sometimes it is the quiet act of saying, I will not keep bleeding for something that is over. I will not hand more years of my life to what already hurt me enough. She learns to close doors without hatred. She learns to walk away without revenge. She learns to set boundaries without guilt. And those boundaries become holy ground. They protect her peace. They guard her energy. They remind her that love should not cost her dignity and that kindness should never require self-betrayal. This is how she becomes lighter. This is how she becomes clearer. This is how she becomes stronger without becoming cold. There is also an unbreakable spirit inside her, and that spirit does not announce itself with noise. It reveals itself through endurance, through the choice to keep living after disappointment, through the refusal to stay buried under grief, through the quiet courage of beginning again when beginning again feels unfair. People may look at her and assume she was always strong. They may never see the nights when she held herself together in silence, the mornings when getting out of bed felt like a victory, the moments when she had to speak life into herself because no one around her understood the depth of her battle. But she knows. She remembers. She knows how many times she almost gave up. She knows how many pieces she gathered from the floor of her own life. And because she knows, she no longer needs constant recognition. She carries a private confidence now, not arrogance, not performance, just truth. She has seen what she can survive. She has learned that she can bend without losing her soul. She can stumble without losing her direction. She can cry without losing her power. That is why she becomes harder to defeat. Not because nothing touches her, but because even when life hits hard, it does not get to erase her. And when others meet her, they feel that strength before she even says a word. They feel the calm of someone who has walked through fire and came back with wisdom instead of ashes. They feel the presence of someone who no longer fears every storm because she has already survived her darkest weather and found herself still standing at the end of it. As she keeps rebuilding, she begins to understand her worth in a way she never did before. For too long, maybe she measured herself by what others wanted from her, how well she pleased them, how much she sacrificed, how useful she was, how admired she seemed, how closely she matched impossible expectations. But now she sees more clearly. Her value was never something the world had the right to assign. It was always there. It was always alive inside her, even when she forgot it, even when others failed to see it, even when pain covered it for a season. This realization changes everything, because when a woman truly knows her worth, she stops negotiating with disrespect. She stops shrinking her dreams. She stops explaining her boundaries to people committed to misunderstanding them. She stops trying to become easier to hold for people who were careless with her heart. And that is not pride. That is self-respect. It is the return to truth. Listen carefully, because this part may stay with you long after this speech ends. She is enough. Not when she becomes perfect. Not when everyone approves. Not when she has no scars left. She is enough now. Enough in her healing. Enough in her softness. Enough in her strength. Enough in her ambition. Enough in her flaws. Enough in her becoming. She does not need to erase her humanity to deserve love and peace. She does not need to be fearless to move forward. She does not need to know every answer before taking the next step. She only needs to remember that her life has value, her voice has value, and her presence in this world does not need permission to matter. And because she knows she is enough, she starts living differently. She no longer waits for the world to hand her confidence. She creates it through action. She speaks with more truth. She chooses with more care. She protects her time. She guards her peace. She pays attention to what lifts her spirit and what quietly destroys it. This is where her life takes on a new energy. She stops chasing places where she is only tolerated and begins building spaces where she can fully breathe. She no longer confuses attention with love or chemistry with peace. She learns that not every open door is meant for her and not every loss is a punishment. Some losses are rescue. Some endings are mercy. Some disappointments are the clearing that makes room for a better life. The more she grows, the more she sees that happiness is not something she has to beg for. It is something she is allowed to create. She can build routines that heal her, relationships that respect her, dreams that stretch her, and a future that reflects her values instead of her fears. And yes, there will still be difficult days. There will still be moments when the old pain knocks on the door. But she is not the same woman who once believed she had nothing left. Now she knows how to answer those moments. Now she knows how to steady herself. Now she knows how to breathe through uncertainty and keep moving anyway. That is the difference. She is no longer waiting to be rescued from life. She is learning how to lead herself through it, one decision, one boundary, one brave step at a time. What makes her truly powerful is not only that she survived, but that she kept her heart open enough to grow. She did not let suffering turn her into someone she no longer recognized. She did not let betrayal teach her to betray herself. She did not let pain convince her that love, peace, and joy were no longer meant for her. Instead, she became more honest, more grounded, more awake. She learned that softness is not weakness. Compassion is not foolishness. Vulnerability is not failure. In fact, some of the strongest moments in her life came when she stopped pretending to be untouched and finally allowed herself to heal in truth. She gave herself room to grieve, room to rest, room to start over badly before starting over well. That matters, because healing is not always graceful. Growth is not always pretty. Sometimes it looks like confusion before clarity, tears before peace, and small steps before full confidence. But that does not make it less real. It makes it human. And in that humanity, she discovers a deeper kind of beauty. The beauty of a woman who has nothing to prove, yet everything to offer. The beauty of a woman who can be gentle without being easy to break. The beauty of a woman who can love deeply without abandoning herself. If you are still listening, hold on to this line. Your scars are not proof that you are damaged beyond repair. They are proof that you lived through what was meant to stop you. They are proof that your story continued. They are proof that your spirit still found a way to speak. So when the future comes, as uncertain as it may be, she no longer greets it with the same fear. She knows life can change quickly. She knows loss can be real. She knows people can disappoint. But she also knows something else now. She knows she can handle more than she once believed. She knows that if life shakes her again, she will grieve, but she will not disappear. She will hurt, but she will not surrender her identity. She will bend, but she will not stay down. This confidence is not fake. It is earned. It was built in the dark. It was built when no one saw her choosing herself again and again. And because it was built that way, it lasts. It becomes the ground she stands on. She begins to walk through life with a steady spirit, not because every question has been answered, but because she trusts the woman she has become. She trusts her judgment. She trusts her growth. She trusts that even if she has to begin again, she knows how. That is real freedom. That is real power. It is the power of knowing that your future is not decided by your worst moment. Your past may have shaped you, but it does not get to imprison you. Your wounds may have taught you, but they do not get to rename you. And your pain, no matter how deep, does not get to be the most important thing about you. There is more to your story than what hurt you. There is more to your life than what tried to break you. And the woman who understands that becomes almost impossible to stop. In the end, the woman who rebuilds herself alone becomes a living reminder of what resilience really looks like. It is not loud. It is not flashy. It is not a performance for the world. It is a quiet force, a steady flame, a deep inner knowing that says no matter what happens, I will find my way back to myself. She becomes proof that healing takes time, but it is possible. Proof that pain can shape you without owning you. Proof that strength is not about being untouched by life, but about refusing to let life take your soul. She becomes the kind of woman who inspires others without trying, simply because of the way she carries herself, the way she chooses peace, the way she honors her worth, the way she refuses to settle for less than what aligns with her spirit. And maybe that is the greatest lesson of all. Rebuilding is not about becoming someone fake, hard, or unreachable. It is about returning to the truest parts of yourself. It is about remembering your value. It is about standing up again and again until rising becomes part of your nature. So if you are in a hard season right now, hear this clearly. You are not finished. You are not forgotten. You are not too broken to heal, too tired to begin again, or too late to become the woman you were meant to be. Keep going. Keep choosing yourself. Keep walking through the fire if you must, but do not stop. Because within you there is a strength the world did not create, and because the world did not create it, the world cannot take it away.